Spider-Man 3 was released in 2007, and I remember being excited for the third installment of what would become my favorite series of superhero movies to this day, and it would become the most financially profitable film in the trilogy, bringing in $894,983,373 at the worldwide box office during the course of its theatrical run, including $151,116,516 on opening weekend, which would again beat the previous two installments, which had openings of $139 million for the first film and $88,156,227 respectively for the second film. Why am I rehashing numbers from a film series that turns 20 years old next year? Let me explain. I happened across an article from People magazine the other day that piqued my interest because it deals with the perceived issue that is all too prevalent in today's society, the gender pay gap. I'm not diving into the whole issue because I don't want to produce a video that's 10 hours long. No, we're going more specific here. The article in People magazine was focused on the compensation that Kirsten Dunst received for her role as the first silver screen version of Mary Jane Watson, playing opposite Tobey Maguire as his paramour over the course of 3 unforgettable films that transformed the genre and paved the way for what is arguably the most successful film franchise in history, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The title of the article was, Kirsten Dunst says pay gap between her and Spider-Man co-star Tobey Maguire was extreme. I searched the topic and a quick Google search yielded no less than a full page of trades bemoaning the pay gap, so I decided I would look into the issue a little bit further. But first, let's take a look how the article sounds tonally, and we'll go from there. Kirsten Dunst says she and her Spider-Man co-star Tobey Maguire were not paid equally for the 2002 superhero movie. Dunst, 39, starred as Mary Jane Watson alongside Maguire, 46, who played Peter Parker and the titular superhero Spider-Man, marked her first role in a major superhero franchise, but the actress revealed to The Independent that she and Maguire had a sharp divide in compensation for their work on the film. Both Columbia Pictures and Marvel Enterprises did not immediately respond to people's request for a comment. The pay disparity between me and Spider-Man was very extreme, she said. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh yeah, Tobey Maguire is playing Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man film pulled in $821 million, and its sequel, 2004's Spider-Man 2, brought in $789 million, according to The Independent. While the movies were a hit at the box office, Dunst said she did not receive the same pay as Maguire, despite being equally promoted for the film. But you know who was on the cover of the second Spider-Man poster? Spider-Man and Me, she told The Independent. After the first 2 Spider-Man films, Dunst went on to star in a third installment of the franchise, which marked her last appearance as MJ in 2007. While it's been over a decade since she played the character, Dunst said she's open to reprising her role. Wonder if that has anything to do with this article coming out now. I would do it. Why not? That would be fun, she told Variety. I would never say no to something like that. I'd be old MJ at this point with little Spidey babies. Since her turn in Spider-Man, Dunst has been keeping busy with plenty of exciting projects, including Melancholia, The Beguiled, and On Becoming a God in Central Florida. After Reuters sent out a tweet in 2019 that described her as best known for her role as Spider-Man's girlfriend, Dunst hit back while appearing in The Talk. I don't really look at Twitter and stuff. I'm not really a social media girl, she said at the time, but I was looking for the show and everything. I read it too, and I was just like, yeah, that's pretty shitty, you know what I mean? She added, I was proud that my fans and everyone rallied around me and supported me. It was a very ignorant tweet, and it was probably done very carelessly by a man.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Ah, yes, the old reliable misogynist argument. Every time something doesn't go your way, hello, my old friend. So here's how the pay breaks down for the Spider-Man trilogy for Tobey and Kirsten, respectively. For Spider-Man in 2002, Maguire received $4 million, while Dunst scored a $3 million payday. Pretty close considering the movie also starred Willem Dafoe as the titular villain Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin. Spider-Man 2 in 2004 saw Maguire rake in a renegotiated payday of $17.5 million, plus 5% of the film's box office gross, whereas Dunst would go on to earn $7 million for the sequel. The third and most profitable installment of the series earned Tobey the slightly smaller salary of $15 million, but with an even larger piece at the back end at 7.5%. Dunst would see a pay bump of $3 million, which raked her in a payday of $10 million for the go-home film in the trilogy. Today, according to the numbers from CelebrityNetWorth.com, Tobey Maguire, who has 53 acting credits, is worth a respectable $75 million. Whereas his former co-star, whose resume is considerably larger, boasting an impressive 86 acting credits, is worth a still stellar $25 million. Now I know that some of you are probably thinking, but ETEP, doesn't the fact that he's worth $50 million more speak to the pay disparity as it pertains to gender?
You serious?
If this was a flat plane equation, I may be inclined to agree with that hypothetical question. But this doesn't take into account the scale of the projects that each of them have worked on since. Back-end negotiations, percentages of box office grosses per film, or television roles. Maybe this is an issue that Dunst should have taken up with her agent. Does Kirsten not realize that no one went to see Spider-Man, specifically for Mary Jane Watson? I mean, she was okay as Mary Jane, but she isn't the title character. And she had the audacity to claim that since she was on the poster for Spider-Man 2, that she should have been paid more. Which, when you break it down, it literally makes no sense if your brain has functioning synapses. By the third movie, I personally would have rather seen Peter develop his relationship with Bryce Dallas Howard's Gwen Stacy, given some more character development and time. Or Ursula Ditkovich, his landlord's daughter, who was clearly smitten with Peter, and was seemingly a much more caring and nurturing woman than MJ was. But that's an argument for another video, because we can talk in hypotheticals on who Peter should have dated or ended up with later. In closing, do I think the fact that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst's earnings for the Spider-Man trilogy should have been closer than they were? Absolutely not. Tobey was the titular character in the main draw. After Tobey, you had villains portrayed by such heavyweights as Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, to a lesser extent, James Franco, Thomas Hayden Church, and lastly Topher Grace, or as I like to call him, the version of Eddie Brock that shall not be mentioned. Mary Jane was kind of a plot device at times in the Spider-Man trilogy, and that's no slight to Dunst. It was simply the nature of the role she was chosen to portray. When you have fans debating whether Peter should have left MJ and dated Ursula Ditko, it speaks volumes about the character as well as the actor's portrayal of her and her likability. This translates into marketability, which translates into financial returns at the box office and potential earnings moving forward, which have obviously affected Maguire and Dunst's earnings and the types of roles that they've been offered since 2007's Spider-Man 3. But that's enough for me. What do you all think? Does Dunst have a valid argument, or is this just an attempt by her to garner attention to a non-existent issue that is being conflated by an actress who is still young enough to work as much as she wants in an attempt to maintain relevance in a business where the next best thing is always right around the corner? Still, with the pending release of Spider-Man No Way Home, and all the rumors of previous character iterations returning, one still wonders about the timing of these statements by Dunst. Oh. Then there's this. Do you want to support the channel by sporting some of our merchandise? Go on over and check out our Teespring store. You can search keyword Going In Raw or The Place to Be Reviews. We have a variety of products for you to select from: men's and women's tees, men's, women's, children's hoodies, leggings, mugs, hats, tank tops. Yeah, you name it, we've pretty much got it, and we'll be adding new products very soon. So go on over, check out the merch. If you want to support the channel by buying merch, cool. If not, that's cool too. Don't worry, I still love you. Now it's time for me to ask you, if you're so inclined and today's the day that I've earned it, please do me a solid and hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell to turn on notifications so you know every time we go live or upload a new video. Also, don't forget to slap that like button and leave a comment below, as it helps us combat the fact that YouTube wants to bury channels like ours in the basement of the algorithms. If you're not seeing our videos for the first time, you know what I'm about to say. But if you're new here, this is how we end every video and live stream. I'm Itep Queen of The Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. If I don't see you, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. And remember, it's always better to burn out than fade away.